Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. All right, today we're going to be taking an additional look at Machina Arcana. And this video is mainly going to be focusing on the stuff that's new in the third edition. So I've already done a very detailed, like 40 plus minute review of Machina Arcana when second edition came out. I also did a video revisiting the game, talking about why I liked it. I recently talked quite a bit about the game on my top 50, which this game is in my top 10. So I've done a lot of coverage already, and I don't want to just like repeat myself over and over again about like the really great things about this game. So this video will just basically be focusing. We're going to take a little look at the update pack. We're going to take a detailed look at the new expansion, To Eternity. We're going to take a detailed look at both of the books and then what is kind of like new about the game box. So when the third edition hit Kickstarter, I only ordered the update pack and the new expansion. I thought that was going to be enough. And very kindly, Uri and Andy Lennon, friend of the channel, who wrote the Codex Aeternum, they upgraded my game for me to a brand new third edition with the books. And I thanked Uri very profusely for doing that. And he just said he did it to thank me for all of my work covering games on the Dungeon Dive, not specifically Machina Arcana. So I did not put the game in my top 10 because because they upgraded my game. I've liked this game since first edition. And, you know, it takes a lot more than just a free copy of a game to buy your way into my top 10. That's probably at least $1 million. So if you have a game, you want to give me $1 million, I might find a place on the top 10 for you. Of course, I'm joking, but there's going to be there's actually people who think that game reviewers take money to put stuff on lists. And yeah, anyways, we don't need to go into that. But Machina Arcana. So let's so the upgrade pack, this was available for people who wanted to upgrade their second edition to third edition. There are no rules changes really in third edition, just a lot of clarifications, a lot of very small minor clarifications, and some slightly different iconography that was used on the cards. And so this pack here upgrades all of the necessary cards for your explorer cards, your monster cards, event cards, horror event cards, items, and your chapter cards. And it also covers the stuff that was in the first expansion, to Beyond, that was called. By the way, all of this is available at retail. I checked it this morning. As of Sunday, April 23rd? I'm not sure what the date is, sorry. But as of late April 2022, you can buy this from it's like Bridge Distribution has everything that you're going to see today in stock. So if you did not get the Kickstarter and you like what you see, you watch my other videos, you end up liking Machina Arcana, this is all available to purchase. There is one problem with the update pack, and we're going to talk a little bit about that when I get into the base box. And then the new expansion here, we're going to take a look at that in just a little bit, the two books here. But let's start off with like what kind of is new about the new edition, the box, the third edition. We're going to take a look at the back of the box after I take everything out so stuff doesn't spill all over the place. I don't think I've ever actually looked at the back of this box. But the box is quite a bit bigger. It's much deeper. I think it was 4 or 5 centimeters deeper. So it holds everything. It will hold all of your components from all of the expansions, which is really nice. So these are the two books from first edition. I can't remember if we've looked at those before. I think we flipped through them. We'll take a little closer look at these when we look at the other books. But one of the really cool things about third edition is this guidebook. So this guidebook walks you through in great detail a number of rounds in a game. And I think this guidebook does a pretty good job at teaching the game. One of the main drawbacks to Machina Arcana is it does have a pretty steep learning curve. There are just the way the game, some of the terms that the game uses are unique and can be hard to decipher. They're not poorly written. It's just the Uri approaches the rules a little bit differently, more like a technical writer, whereas this guidebook walks you through setting up the game, learning the game, more from a non-technical aspect. So the game does take some time and some effort to learn. All of the rules are in the book. There's nothing missing. There's nothing blatantly wrong. It's not like a bad Kickstarter rulebook. It just takes some effort. There are a lot of little things. One of the things about this game is its attention to detail. And I was thinking about why I like this game so much. And it is because when I open this box, when I get into this game, I feel like I am entering into a finely crafted and detailed world. And not every game gives me that experience, but Machina Arcana does. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I do like it so much. And those details transcend into not just the theme, the art, the look, the way things work, but also in the rules. There are a lot of details to the game, and it can get very crunchy. And because of that, it can be difficult to learn. But reading through this book in conjunction with the new manual, the new updated manual that is a little more concise and a little more organized with a few more details, can make the game much easier to learn, than it ever has been. The game also does come with 4 cheat sheets here, quick reference guides, player aids. They are a little big. They're square, and so they don't fit in any of my lamination pouches. I don't even think they would actually fit in my machine. So what I did is I took 2 of them and I folded them in half in opposite directions so I could get front and back. And then I laminated the 2 halves. So it's just much easier to manipulate, to have on the table. So you might want to think about doing that. And then we get into the box, and the box is so well made, so well designed. So you have your tiles here. What I've done is I've gone through and I've put a black edge on everything with permanent marker for most of the tokens and player boards in this game. So you get all of your various game tiles here. We will take a detailed look at some of the art on the game tiles because the second part of this new video series is going to be an Art of Machina Arcana video where we're going to be taking a look at a lot of the art with some with a piece of music that I wrote. But I've said that before. I've said it before probably 100 times, but I absolutely love the tile art in this game. It is some of my favorite tile art. I am so glad now to have 2 copies because my copy of the second edition also has all of these tiles. And now I can just keep those in my solo RPG box to use for cool little dungeons for when I'm playing solo RPGs. So it's nice to have double copies of that. Then you also get your chapter board. So this is like your scenario board. And then you get your 4 player boards here. So those are pretty much the same there. And then you get a really cool tray that holds all of your monster standees. As you can see, I also inked the edges of all the standees. What's nice about this set here, or this box here, is it keeps them with the stand on. And so you don't have to keep removing the plastic stand because that can damage cardboard after a while. So really just very thoughtful. See what I mean about everything about this game is just thoughtful. They put a lot of thought into everything. So you have a really easy way to store all your standees. I did not ink all of the other little tokens here. That would take forever. But you have a box here that holds all of your chapter tokens, your health and markers, your other tokens, your destroy door tokens. So you have everything you need in these 2 little boxes there. And then this part of the tray here holds all of your standees for all of your explorers, which I also inked there. So you have all of your explorers here, a few more of the monsters, some of the bigger monsters, and then like the level 3 and level 4, the bigger monsters there. So they all lay in that tray really nice. And then the tokens that you use to keep track of your essence, your health, and your stamina, they all fit nicely there. And then we get to the main part of the box here, and it keeps everything all nicely organized. And it holds, there's spots for all of the expansion material. One complaint I do have is that the spacing for the cards was designed for people who sleeve their games. And if you don't sleeve your games and you keep the cards organized how they're supposed to be organized, they do slosh around a little bit and come loose. If you were to sleeve them, they won't come loose. So I know I'm going to be in the minority. People who sleeve their cards complain a lot louder when inserts don't fit their sleeved cards. People who don't sleeve their cards tend to not complain as loudly. So the insert was designed for sleevers in mind to probably keep the complainers down. But so I'm not going to complain too much. I'm not going to sleeve my game. I only sleeve a couple games, and I actually. I did sleeve, I sleeved Shadows of Brimstone, but I'm actually going to unsleeve that game because I'm really tired of sleeve cards. I don't like sleeve cards. Inside this box is this nice insert, and it holds everything. I also have in here, I have a lot of the cards and the standees from first edition because I have taken a look at these with the different art. So I'm keeping those for kind of prosperity, just to keep, because I like having that legacy. I can keep everything in here. It also will fit the new cards from the new expansion. I have my hero cards from my first edition in here. So I can keep those nice. I can keep those right along with the cards from the second and third edition, which are basically the same. The third edition is just... They added a couple different little icons. Like this little icon here is new. And so that would be one of the things that has been updated. There's only a very, very few number of cards where things were actually changed. And usually that has to do with stamina use, just probably for some balance issues. And there is a change log that you can access on the Machina Arcana website that goes through all of the changes. I've got a ton of extra dice because I have all of my first edition dice and second edition dice. So tons of dice for this game now. This well here holds all of your doors with the standees on them, which is really nice. And then this well here will hold all of your chapter cards for your different scenarios. So this has the 3 scenarios from the first, the base game, then the scenarios from the first expansion, and it will also easily hold these scenarios from the new expansion once I get those sorted and placed in here. Then I have my little cheat sheets that I made. So yeah, really nice insert. You get everything in here. It stores everything very, very well, especially if you are into sleeving the game. So we're not going to take a super detailed look at everything because I spent a lot of time in my 40-minute review looking at everything. My one complaint I do have, and that is with the update pack. So everything about the update pack is pretty great, except for the new cards that update the Explorer and Horror event cards from the first expansion. They are significantly smaller. As you can see, they're they are quite a bit smaller in both dimensions and both directions. And it really does make, if you don't sleeve your cards, it makes shuffling very difficult. And you can just, by glancing at the stack of cards, you can see what's coming up next. Pretty disappointed with this little stack of cards here. Everything else from the update pack is the same size and nicely made. I'm not sure what quite happened here. It's a real bummer. However, I just have in my game now, I kept the old cards. I'm using the old cards. There are very, very few changes. Only like 1 or 2 have different rules. Most of them just update the language a little bit and use some of those new icons. So for me, it's easy to just keep the old ones. It looks nicer, and it's easier to shuffle and use. So that is one disappointment. I do want to take out this insert so we can take a look at the back of the box. So hold on just a moment. Oh yeah, very nice. Really good layout. I mean, this game just it always looks so cool. The colors and everything about this game, just, oh man, all the details. I just love it. Cooperative horror adventure by Uri Bilik. In Machina Arcana, players take on the role of explorers thrown into dreadful halls, scratching for survival and progressing through the chapters from one of many horror stories. Even if they manage to stay alive until the end of the story, they will face a special minigame at the finale of each scenario. The unique environment, interactive inventory, combat mechanics, and tactical diversity are all enveloped in an integral storytelling experience that provides both total immersion in the world and full replay value. That's a really well-written paragraph that it's a great summary of why this game is so great, because it does have these kind of directed scenarios, and the scenarios in the new expansion are even more kind of directed, and I think they have some interesting mechanisms. But there's also so much variety and so much randomness in those scenarios that they do feel more replayable than a lot of games that have a scenario system. But beware, a horde of unique and terrifying monsters are bent on destroying your party. If that isn't enough, horror itself disrupts and hinders any remaining hope in these comfortless chambers. So yeah, all right. So I'm glad I finally got to look at the back of the box. That's something I don't really do much anymore. I remember spending more time back in the day, like actually when I would go to a store, looking at the back of the box. So many games these days have so many components sloshing around in the boxes that it's actually kind of hard to look at the back of boxes. But okay, so this is Machina Arcana to Eternity. This is the newest expansion. If you don't want to know anything about this expansion, maybe skip ahead. I'll flash a number on the screen right here, and you can skip ahead to that part of the video. Because there are some new mechanisms in this expansion that I want to talk about, because I think they're interesting and kind of change up the game a little bit. So in this new expansion, you get, I believe it's 3 scenarios. 1, let's see, 2. Yeah, so you get 3 full scenarios, and the last one is absolutely massive. It's a very big a very big scenario. I've only played the first part of Genesis so far, just to learn it. And I'm going to start a playthrough of soon of this expansion, because I'm the way that yeah, we'll talk about it. All right, so you get some new critters, some new monsters here. So you get a Cthulhu, so level 1. Here's your level 1 monsters. A spawn of Dagon. The spiders of Lang, Bloodborne there. I like that. This is very similar to the spiders designed for Bloodborne, and of course the original spiders of Lang. A Chok level 1, a spawn of Cthulhu, and Yig there. Yig is only a level 1 monster, interesting. And then you get some level 2 monsters, Cats of Ulthar. That was from the Dream Quest, right? I believe. The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath, is that right? Then you get an envoy of Yog Sothoth, a Nofke, the Haunting Horror. That is awesome there. You're gonna get better detailed pictures of these in the next video for the Art of series, so don't worry about missing anything here. The Spawn of Shub-Niggurath, the Ubel Salthla. We're into level 3 now. Dimensional Shamblers. Those guys are always bad news. Envoy of Nirlathotep. The Spawn of Ghatanothwa. And there we go. The Spawn of Azathoth. Very cool. The Envoy of Ithaquah. And then we have our new explorers here, and you get 2 for each class. So you have 2 bruisers, Lorna Wallace, and each one does have a backstory on the back of the card. Very well written, as everything in this game is. The lore in this game is so well written. Oglin Wallace. Then you get 2 mystics, Yelena Petronova and Frederick Kayama. You get 2 gunmen, Evangelica Dukakis and Konstantinos Dukakis. And then you get 2 crafters, and these little kids, I love it. I'm wondering if those are maybe based on Uri's kids. I'm not sure, but I like the way they look. And these characters in the story were like stowaways in this new expedition that was going to explore this this Mountains of Madness scenario. And these little kids they're crafters and tinkerers. So yeah, pretty cool. So you get a lot of good new stuff there. You do get all of your standees. I haven't inked the standees yet for the new expansion. But in addition to that, you get your cards, your horror event cards that are going to be mixed in to your standard deck, and you get your explorer event cards that will be mixed into the standard deck. And then you also get a new stack of new items. So you get some new weapons, some new relics and consumables, and some new gear there. And so, for instance, some of a spatial oscillator, a momentorinatus, a fright gazer, an anoric backpack, an outlander's garb, an apothecary belt, a diatomic belcher. Oh man, that is awesome. I love the names of these things. The talisman of Bilbog, the Salvic automata, Aeolus bag, a mechanical rose, a portable door. Oh, that's super cool. Void shells. Void shells are awesome. This is an augment, so you can augment a weapon with this. And when you attack and you roll an empty dice with no hits, you get to add 4. That is super cool. A Gemini spring, a cloning bow, an angular discharger, a skeleton wand, and an impetus handler. So all kinds of really cool items to use. I'm going to end up just shuffling these in with my other items. I don't keep the items from the different expansions separate. All right, and then finally, I think we're going to take a look at the books on the next video. So this new part is going to be a 3-part series. Actually, let's go ahead. Yeah. So let's take a look at the chapters. So the chapters in the scenarios, the way these work is quite different from the base game. And it is a little more controlled than the base game is. So in the base game, when you spawned a new chapter, you would have a horror rating, or as a spawn rating and a horror rating. And using those, you would have to roll a d10. And if you hit that number or above it, you would either spawn a monster or spawn a horror event. If you didn't hit that number or below, you would lower the number. And so the next time you were to roll, you would have a better chance of spawning a monster or spawning a horror event. Well, these new chapter cards for the scenarios are called Eternity chapter cards, and they work differently. So they have things written on their card here that you no longer roll a d10 to determine if you spawn a monster or if you spawn a horror event. The numbers tick down like usual, but when they tick down to certain numbers, then you do what it says on the card, either spawning a monster or spawning a horror event. And so it's a little more structured. The introduction of bad elements in the game is left not as much up to chance as it is to timed events. Things are more timed. Things are more evenly sprinkled throughout the scenario. And I like that. It gives the opportunity for the scenario to be a little more directed and have a little more of a path through it while still having some random elements. Think of these new scenarios as kind of in between. So like the old scenarios were kind of like picking a great old one from Arkham Horror or Eldritch Horror, and then in first or second edition, and in third edition of Arkham Horror, the scenarios are very guided. Like you are on a path, you have direction that you are working in. These scenarios, these new scenarios in the To Eternity expansion, are kind of like in between those two extremes. So I think they're going to be very cool. And the coolest thing about these new scenarios is that as you're flipping them over, you're going to flip them over like normal. You're going to see a picture of what you are reading here. So Severed, it says, as we crested the lip of the great crater and commenced our faltering descent, we were greeted with visions of ruin and refuse as our pupils dilated to accommodate the gloom. Oh, just all so very well written, very evocative. But sometimes when you flip cards, you're actually going to be greeted with a new tile. So these cards now become tiles, and they will actually attach to the map tile that you are on. So if you were to explore this, you would lay this new tile down next to that map tile, and it would change the game. So you are almost like you are exploring more of like a traditional tile laying dungeon crawl now, because these tiles will expand the map just like the map tiles do. And there are quite a few of them. So if you look through, I'm just going to look through here so you can kind of see. And sometimes you will use both. You will use multiple tiles of these new tile cards to expand the different maps. And that is really neat. There is a lot of them. And I'm wondering if there could be like some kind of fan-made expansion where you just use these little map tiles to create some kind of random dungeon mode. Very cool. I know there's probably going to be other surprises in here as well. And the new scenarios just have a few more mechanisms, a few more ways to interact with the game and interact with the world. So I think they did a really great job at introducing these. So let's say Machina Arcana To Eternity. When the promise of the unknown beckons, the darkness itself can throw strange new light on the dread ambitions lurking within the hearts of men. Unveil the sinister machinations of the Sentinel as you fight to resist an intoxicating, transformative power that feeds on the shredded remnants of your frail humanity. Or surrender to its mantra and embrace your destiny in the shocking conclusion to the Machina Arcana saga. So yeah, very cool, very evocative. Love it. Looking forward to diving deep into all of these new scenarios. We're going to call this episode done. In the next episode, we're going to take a look at the two art and lore books. All right, guys, hope you're having a good one. Take it easy. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.